When it comes to any retail job, it is no surprise that you're gonna have some crappy managers. Man, in the 3 years I worked at Subway, I had some like managers that range from like, and these are the three managers you will have. You have the awesome manager, the middle passive manager. I just got a position, but I really don't want it, and the horrible manager. Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of Fast Talk, the fast food review show where I talk about fast food, talk faster about it, and you have entered the twilight zone of Subway horror stories. Now, the time that I worked at Subway, I had like about four-ish managers, and some of these stories are also going to include some of the other managers from the truck stop that the Subway was in, as technically we're all one company. A little inside football when it comes to a lot of truck stop as a restaurant. That truck stop owns that restaurant, so that's a little thing for you to know, because technically on all my paychecks it said Pilot. It didn't say Subway, it said Pilot. And I gotta say, this Subway was old. Yeah. One of my managers, we'll call Z, wasn't the first manager I had. Well, it was, but like when I started in the summer, started about late summer. So, which happened to be like this weird intermediate period of people transitioning from like different positions. So one manager moved on to be the manager next door, and then we got Z. Now Z was a really neat guy. The first day I worked with him, I don't think we talked the whole shift. Nothing happened. We did what we were supposed to do, worked on the line, did all of that, and like legit the last hour we tried the new cookies, because it's stuff we did whenever we got a new product. We tried it to give guests the best satisfaction. But yeah, he was actually really neat. I never had any problems with Z. He was really cool, very positive, very supportive, I wouldn't say accommodating, but he was very much the manager you want to have. Much like one of the managers I have now at the job I currently work at. He was I don't really know anything bad to say about him. He was a little quirky and sometimes a little frustrating. A lot of the stories I'm going to have is from my bad manager. But one of the funny things that would happen, like, it was odd that, like, he knew my second grade teacher in elementary school, which was weird. But you're not here to give me praise on managers. No, what were some of my bad stories with managers? Well, happened to be, I think in the because I worked there for 3 years. So I had each manager about 3 years, I think. Or 1 year, give or take, like, something like that. Which isn't very uncommon in fast food. You will go through managers, and sometimes they just move different departments or different stores. This Z ended up moving to neighboring Pilot store, so moved on, and then we got L. She was cool. I liked L as well, but I wouldn't call her the manager that didn't care. It just wasn't the management position for her. She got stressed out. Stuff would happen. It sucked. And the bad thing was, I think she would have been a great manager if she had a better supporting crew around her. Like a better management crew, because you have the manager, this is the manager, blah, blah, blah. I think if she had a better crew, it would have helped. One of the assistant managers, we'll call T. That's what I'm going to call him, because I'm not that creative. I can't come with better names. T, how do I describe T? T is that blonde coworker no one liked working with. You know what you obviously know what she's gonna do on her weekend off. She can't be reliable. She called me at 2 a.m. once, drunk out of her gourd, asking to work. I went, no, click. That was a policy I for myself had. Like, if they called me drunk, I'm not gonna cover for them. And you could say that sounds really mean, but I know what they're doing. I would cover for anyone. If they're sick, I'll cover for you. If you have some fun, I'll cover for you. I will not cover for you if you are calling drunk because you knew you had to work the next day. You got yourself drunk. That is on you. Which is a lot of same stuff that the managers at my current job have. So, So at one point she left, and apparently got blacklisted from the store, but somehow came back. I really don't know how everything went. Because I really didn't care about the minutia of stuff. There's a lot of drama at this Subway. But she came back, and the first night we had worked together, I already didn't like her. I don't like her attitude. It was odd. And the first night I had to work with her, our power went out, which happened every once in a while. And the crappy thing was, the power goes out, you have to stay there and be there on your shift, but you can't do anything. So we just sat there, and she started going off, being like, "Oh, you have the attitude towards this manager, blah 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 blah, all this crap." Did not like working with her. She left stuff everywhere, never did dishes, so everything was a mess. Which goes into the other manager, who we will call T2, I guess. T2 Judgment Day. That is what we're gonna call her, because that's what she was. She was very judgmental. No one liked working with her. Everyone was stressed out. And it also happened, she became manager right before COVID, which also compounded to everything. She was not a great manager. She was not meant to have a management position. We had already had problems with her because she was a manager on the other side. We had a situation where so you have the overhead radio, okay? That's in the store, and I don't know how it is for every other place, but for this place, we have this janitor's closet, and in the back of the janitor's closet, there was a radio that hooked up to the rest of the store. And it would just be on like a Mix FM, like family-friendly station. We weren't gonna have Disney songs like that, but it was like music you could listen to in the car and not be like uncomfortable with. She decided to change it to not very family-friendly music. And now we listened to whatever we want in the back, as long as it wasn't too loud where guests could hear it, which never was a problem. And she didn't do it quite like it was at a certain time. Like, she cranked it up, so it was really loud. It was obnoxious. All gets, like, I had to get louder to talk to guests, which I was already pretty loud. I'm already a pretty loud person, and probably it doesn't really show on camera, but like I can get energy, I can do stuff like that. But I had to get guys to understand we didn't know where the remote was. The remote got taken by one of the managers. Her name was M. She was awesome. Again, very accommodating, because she was essentially what kept everyone from like killing this manager. T2 sucked so freaking much. For context, the whole time I worked at Subway, I was attending Ivy Tech. You probably seen me wearing the hoodies and videos, stuff like that. And the only reason I stayed so long was I got tuition reimbursement. That's my one recommendation. If you do work food service, especially if you're a college student, find somewhere that has tuition reimbursement, because that comes in very handy, especially for books. That actually essentially just paid for my books. I just use that to pay for my books and use the rest for classes. She wouldn't turn it in. Her excuse was she didn't know how. The last manager didn't know how. Elle didn't know how. But she figured it to flip out. And this manager refused to do so. I'm like, no, I need it turned in now, because I have classes to pay for. I start next week. Flip and figure it out. I called HR, got it all figured out. And then COVID hit. I kind of wish some of my former Subway coworkers find this video, because some of those they need to put it on the comments if you got any Subway stuff for me to talk about, like any questions. I can make a video on it, or like a Subway question Q&A, something like that. This manager sucked. She would constantly change the schedule. It was frustrating, especially if you're someone who's a student where you had to have a set schedule every week. She'd always schedule me on the shifts that I needed off on the days off. I would work whenever I could. I was one of the people that was known for, hey, he'll work whenever he can. But times he's not going to work because he has stuff to do. Like, that was, everyone knew that. Everyone like understood. I wasn't a jerk about it. If you're nice about it, most of the time you will not have a problem. This manager would like call you randomly, be like, take a break yet, like, I hate when people take breaks at certain times. I hate that, because it's like the most frustrating thing, because sometimes stuff happens and you can't do it at that time. Like, let's say you had a rush and then you're like, oh, break time. I'm like, no, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to take care of the rush and then I'm going to take my break, or vice versa. Or if you know, be like, hey, we know from like 3 to 6 it's going to get busy, and if you came in at 1, just take it later, or take it at like when it slows down or something like that. Like, you don't take it in the middle of the rush, or when you obviously was rushing, screw over your coworker. There was one time I got a complaint that I was yelling at a coworker wasn't the case. It was just busy, and she just wasn't listening. And I was like, she just wasn't paying attention. I was trying to get her. I was yelling. I wasn't yelling. I was like speaking louder on the other end of the line. Which is, if you worked at a Subway, you know, the line gets busy and it gets loud. You have the ovens running. There's a lot going on. So this person exaggerated a lot of things. What else did the manager do? This manager like made really offhand like jokes that weren't work appropriate to like everyone. And then like she would randomly schedule like certain people like too much, like that weren't supposed to be working. Supposed to be their minors, which that's when I stepped up. I was like, no. We also had she claimed as a problem. Maybe it was, where there were certain like cliques. There was essentially the old crew who had managed before her, who knew what to do. So, and then you had the new crew who listened to her a lot of times. They didn't know any better. So there was the constant conflict also of she wanted stuff done one way and then everything was supposed to be done another way. And the rule is, if you have a question, ask manager or consult the guidebook. The guidebook has all the information you're going to use to run the store. There's certain things that need to be done, certain things that need to be prepped. A lot of times we had to go behind her back and fix stuff, and it was a constant problem. And it got really bad. And the RGM got involved at one point. He was like, hey, what's going on? Why is everything checked? And I was like, honestly, like, this manager wanted it this way. We've been peacefully trying to handle it, but we're getting tired of it. And then he stepped in. Nothing really happened. She didn't care. She's like, well, I want it done this way. I like it doing this way. It makes more sense. It didn't. It made the stuff harder. And it got really bad with COVID. COVID got really bad where she was like, well, I want it like stuff done this way. She's like, we had to close at 10. Okay. But she still wanted to clean up. So it wasn't until about like 12-ish. Actually, no, I think we closed at 12. So it was more like 2 in the morning we closed. She's like, well, why are you saying that here? I'm like, well, we have to clean the place up. Like, you don't realize 10 o'clock we get a rush. 10 o'clock is when we got like a late night rush from all the truckers. Stuff happens. We have to get stuff prepped. It didn't help. So there's 3 different shifts. Look at mine. There's the morning, the evening, then the overnight crew. Which maybe that's a whole separate video. I'll maybe talk about when I do like my coworkers video. But like, she essentially split. She didn't even split. She just gave all the evening crew all the overnight prep, which logically would make more sense for the morning crew to have the overnight prep, because the overnight prep's the morning. And there's a certain cycle of how long that food can sit there. And it made no sense for us to do it because it would go bad as soon as the morning crew showed up. Even if you split it in half, give us some stuff. Like all like the dry and like the dry stuff and like this like the sauce bottles was the thing I hated doing. Needed done. Did it. Still don't enjoy. I don't like mayo. It's the texture thing. She claimed that was our job, which was whatever. Which just comes from why stuff got wasted, because she wouldn't do it and she wouldn't listen. She always be like, well, listen, and then she would never listen. I think in the last month I was there, I was in the office like every day that week because she had some different complaint about me. I think like my theory is she wanted to be fired, but she couldn't find a legit reason because I'm one of the best workers there. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm saying that because I was one of the better workers there towards the end. I stayed out of the original crew from when I got hired. So, and it goes with a coworker video, but I can't think of anything else. Like, that's kind of like the manager stories I have. Nothing overly weird happened. Like, there was one manager that did steal money, but that was like an interim, like short-term manager. But yeah, what do you guys think? What is a type of manager you like or dislike? Or do you have like a manager story from any food service you worked at, any job you worked at? Let me know down in the comments. And put down a hashtag Subway Horror Stories. What video we want to talk about. I like to do more of like these story videos about like time I worked at Subway. I worked there for 3 years. I got plenty of stories. I just kind of group them into videos. So let me know down in the comments. And you can find me on most social media platforms at FT_FastTalk for reviews. And you can check out my Subway Horror Story playlist popping up here, along with a video recommended by YouTube. You can also check out my podcast at Long Pizza Party Podcast on most social media platforms at Pizza Party Pod. Guys, have a good rest of your day. Stay pretty safe. Peace.